James Baldwin once said, "No one was white before she came to America." Isabel Wilkerson quotes that line in her book when she explains the origins of racial identification in this country. Isabel Wilkerson is back with us, joining us by phone. Isabel, what did James Baldwin mean by that?
What he meant was that the idea of race is, first of all, a social construct. It's a creation that came out of the experiences of starting a new country and having people from different parts of the world, primarily from Europe and from Africa, brought in as enslaved people. The impulse to rank, the impulse to create an artificial, arbitrary graded ranking of human value, and the metric for that was race, which is a social construct. And there was no need for recognition or identification as white or black, as long as you were around people who were just like you. If you were in Hungary or in Poland or Ireland, there was no need to describe yourself as white. But only when coming to the United States to create this new country, and as Europeans spread around the world, there became the need or the impulse to rank and to divide. And it could have been any number of physical manifestations or characteristics, but it turned out to be race as the measure of value in the hierarchy that was created here in this country. Race becomes essentially the tool, the signifier, the signal of one's place in the hierarchy.
There are so many excuses that were made for people back in the days of slavery. You describe Robert E. Lee torturing his slaves in this book. But also in 1849, Massachusetts Charles Sumner is quoted in your book saying, "The separation of children in the public schools of Boston on account of color or race," he wrote, "is in the nature of caste, and on this account is a violation of equality." He quoted a fellow humanitarian saying, "Caste makes distinctions where God has made none." What do you make of those various levels of moral evolution that existed in the same society?
That is one of the big conundrums that we face as a society and as a country with our history, is that we proclaim ourselves and are very proud to present ourselves as a place of liberty and of democracy and of openness for all people. And yet beneath all of this is this infrastructure that we have all inherited, that no one alive created, but that encases us and encloses us in ways that we may not always realize. You know, we're not dealing with the same classical open racism of our forefathers' era necessarily, but the idea of caste is a reminder of the hierarchies that have existed and that we have received and that have passed down to the generations, with an idea that everyone seems to know. If you think about a play, you think about the people who are the characters in a play, and you think about the word caste used for a play. And in a play, everyone knows where they're supposed to be, stage left, stage right, in the front or in the back. And people even know their lines. They know the lines of maybe other people in the play. In fact, if they're really invested in it, they know the entire script. And that in some ways is what we have inherited, an infrastructure in which each of us has been based upon where we were born into the hierarchy, this bipolar hierarchy of dominant versus subordinated, that we all have absorbed, unconscious bias, however we have absorbed this, that we all have been told the places that we belong. Caste is about policing of boundaries, setting boundaries and policing and enforcing them. And so in some ways, even the videos that we're seeing where people are, African Americans, for example, are being police called on them for routine things that they're doing in their day, sitting at a Starbucks waiting for a friend, barbecuing in Oakland, for example, or just trying to get into one's condo building. The idea of the automatic impulse to begin to police, to surveil, and to keep people in their place, keep people in a fixed place so everyone knows their place on the stage.